Hello my friends and welcome back to another video on my less edited channel. My Fancy Pants channel is over at another place, links everywhere in the description and such. Now I know how you like storage and I try to answer all the questions about the petabyte storage, SSD storage and all of that. But sometimes YouTube does not inform me if someone has written a comment, so I have to dig through them from time to time. Anyway, this is my own personal storage at home. It's not that fantastic. It's a QNAP TS-853A I bought back in 2016, so it's around a bit more than 5 years ago since I bought this. Before that, I had other QNAPs, 4 bays, but I decided to go for an 8 bay that time, and I really learned to appreciate that. When I got it, I migrated four terabyte drives in RAID 5 over to this system, and I had some problems and I had to copy everything out of it and back into it. Then I slowly began installing 8 terabyte drives a half a year apart, so instead of replacing them all at once, because, well, you know, then I know they're probably not going to fail at the same time, and also because money. So for about 4 years, 3 years, it ran only 8 terabyte drives, and I migrated the old 4 terabytes into a RAID 1 instead of RAID 5. And then some of those 4 terabyte drives started to fail, and I just replaced one of them. Now I'm starting to replace them with 12 terabyte drives. So I have two 12 terabyte here and two 8 terabytes here running RAID 5. So naturally I won't get the full benefit of them until I replaced them both. But now QNAP has new systems out, so maybe the time is coming soon where I need a new controller that uses the new file systems. I can't remember if it's actually ZFS they're using. Haven't been looking into it yet, but maybe I should start building a new system. But running RAID 5 here, running the old 8 terabytes in RAID 1, and just for the fun of it, I took an old 1 terabyte SSD and I bought 1 terabyte SSD and running tiered storage here. Oh, my phone is tilting backwards. So it should be putting everything that I don't use that often on the spinning drives here, and then migrate the things that I do use to the 1 terabyte SSDs here, also running RAID 1. The only thing is that I don't use it enough. So a lot of the things that I do use always will be found on the 8 terabyte spinning disks, and these are largely empty. I think there's 100 gigabytes of data worth full on, then they're 10-20% full, and these are 60 to 80% full. So apparently the algorithm says the most of the data you use are not used often enough to be here. I would have hoped that would say everything you use, if you have tapped it a few times, then it's going to be here. But apparently it says, yeah, if it's been sitting there, no one has used it, I'll just de-tier it down to the storage tier instead of the super performance tier. Instead of saying, hey, we got a lot of free space, why not let it sit here? So that kind of sucks. So I probably won't be using that in the future. I'm kind of curious to see the new QNAP file system and software at some point. So yeah, that's basically it. So you might ask, what do you use all that space for? Well, I use that mainly for the raw footage from my main YouTube channel. When I make a proper video that I have to save that I can't easily recreate, I save this on this storage system, as well as the produced videos I have spent hours and days on editing. I take the videos and upload them to here, and the thumbnails and what I use to make the thumbnails and all of that stuff, that sits on this drive and these drives. So I do have backups. I have 2 backups, which is actually just USB backup I plug into here, and I use the backup system programs here to synchronize them. And then I use SneakerNet or AdidasNet, has different names, unplug them and take them to an offsite location, and I have one on-site and one off-site. So I wanted to use cloud backup, like some S3 storage. I looked at Wasabi and the others, and perhaps you should just mirror them to that, but I'm not made of money, so essentially it's cheaper just to buy some 10, 12 terabyte external hard drives and mirror it onto those. It's a bit more work and it's not automatic. I'd only do it a handful of times a year, so okay, let's be honest, 4 times a year probably at the most. But that means I do have backups and not just on one location. One thing I am concerned about that I know this system does not solve is bit rot. There are chances where data will become corrupted when you have so huge amounts of it, even though you're running with parity check. So a file system that will prevent bit rot would be cool. Yeah, and I would like to store it in the cloud or on an online solution. I have gigabit Ethernet. I don't have any bandwidth cap, so I could just mirror it, and I don't have that much change on a weekly basis. But I think I have passed at least 10 terabytes of data I want to back up, and that would cost me, well, I could pay for an external hard drive in less than a year, an external USB hard drive. So that is why I am not using cloud storage. It's easier, but I can't just waste money on everything. So, and also, yeah, I probably could replace this storage box, this QNAP, but will I be happy with all the money I have to spend on a new one? Is that worth, like, let's say $800 or whatever it will cost? Perhaps $1,000. Would that make me $1,000 happier when I have to work hard for that, and with a 50% tax here in Denmark? So it's a lot of hours to work to earn that money to buy a new one. So this is probably going to last a few more years, and if the fans in the back give up, I'm probably just going to replace them. Originally, I wanted to use virtualization on this, and so it has memory sockets, and it only officially supports 8 gigabytes of RAM, but unofficially with the Atom processor I could install 16 gigabytes. So I just ordered it. Did I order it 8 or 4? I can't remember. But then I bought some memory and replaced the memory, so it now has 16. It had 16 gigabytes, and I ran virtualization on it, which is dog slow with the quad-core Atom processor. So all I run right now is a single Linux server with some databases on that collects data from my solar panels, and I have videos on my other channel about my solar panels and output, and I have statistics since 2011, 2012 on my solar panels every minute recorded onto that database, and that runs on the Linux server where I wrote a program in Python that logs onto my inverter, or actually just looks at the status page, extract all the information and then dumps that into the database. So I have that, and sometimes I play around with that and try to see if I can find some interesting statistics for that. So that's my local storage. Not as interesting, as impressive as terabytes and petabytes of SSD storage, but there will be more when I have something interesting in that respect, and I know that what people mainly come for on this channel. So yeah, that's all for now. Until next time, have fun on the interwebs.